What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of NFT 365. And we are sponsored by Crypto Business Conference happening October 9th to 11th in San Diego, California. And for all those listening, one of the things that I know many are struggling with in, the NFT space or even just Web3 as a whole is like trying to identify like where you fit or what the role is or what aspect that you want to play in this space, right? And I know for me, I played semi-professional poker for a while. I'm a data tech geek. Been in the influencer, social media, digital space for many years. For me, like there's so many opportunities. It kind of taps into my ADHD and my just the idea like neurodiversity. I have so many things that can excite me and kind of bring this whole world to life for me. But I know for others, for many that they're part of it is like, hey, I just want to like know what my role is or how I can play in this space, or maybe I have money but I don't know, I just want to invest, I don't want to be a creator, whatever that may be. And I think the beauty of this project, this buying an NFT, Mint 365, and buying an NFT every day is like I've been able to interview and research different NFT projects. And I would argue that I might know more about different use cases and different types of NFTs and different blockchains than just about anyone in this entire space. And I'm not saying that from an ego perspective. I'm just saying like I know the amount of work and from buying photography NFTs, which is what we bought for yesterday's NFT for Mint 365. We ended up going with Immutable Images, which is now the second time we've gone with them here with the project. But I love their rollout. They're on Solana. They're using Magic Eden Launchpad, but they are using, they have a variety of, photography that you end up buying. So you don't know which one you're getting, but you mint one of them and then you get a random one that kind of shows up in your wallet over there on Magic Eden. And I just love it because it's, the variety is there, right? You could have got like an Al Pacino photo or a Kobe Bryant one, or even, different ones from, different experiences, different places. And what is cool is the one that we end up getting for our collection is called it's the Raycon Entrance. And I'm going to pull up exactly what that means. And what that, but I like, for me, it ended up being really neat, like knowing that, I love all of the, the photos that are in this Immutable Images kind of library. So like minting one and getting one, a random one placed in our collection is actually like a really cool, concept. I think it's just a different way of approaching NFTs. And I think that's like the most cool part of this entire space is that there's no one right way to do it. And the way that this photo, and I'll put a link to the photo in the show notes for listening on the podcast, but if you're watching on video, you can actually see it. But the description of the photo that I got is every day I left the old Raycon in Hagi, Japan, looking for the essence of Japanese traditional culture. But did I have to leave the inn? One morning after I put on my shoes, the owner splashed water to clean the already clean sidewalk, I guess. Is that what that is? I recognized in the reflection a pattern that subtly conveyed the culture. I stopped, set up my tripod, and made this symbolic photo. And so it's a really neat black and white photo, that, this photographer, famously took. And what I think is really cool about it is like I would have not known anything about that art or that photo, but I was able to buy that. It was, I believe, 1.75 Solana. Which ends up being right now, because Solana is so cheap, I think it ended up being like $120 USD. But really cool NFT that we added to our collection. And, that's part of this too, is like I really am working hard to have fashion NFTs, to have photos, to one-of-one artists, to different projects, different types of different NFT collections. And so the thing that I just wanted to kind of stress on this episode is like, the thing that I know for a fact, right? Like the thing that I'm going to stress to everyone here is that we need you in this space, right? We need more people that have diverse backgrounds, that have diverse experiences. And the beauty of it is you don't need to be a thought leader. You don't need to know everything about your space or your place. We need your unique perspective, right? And it's the thing that no one else can copy. And so like, if you are someone that is an admin or a organizer for businesses or brands, or an admin assistant, projects, creators, NFT leaders, even NFT investors are looking for people with those skills. Let's say you're a great copywriter, of course, looking for that across the board. Let's say that you're someone that approaches things like your specialty is maybe you work with others in a certain niche. Let's say you are working with retired executives. One of my friends comes to mind. Shout out to Angus. And like retired or active executive coaching. Well, I will tell you, like from an executive coaching perspective, not only are there great use cases for how NFTs can be used, but we also need people like that can also help bring in like that coaching mentality to this space. The other part of this that I think is so interesting is that like I will gladly take the challenge that I believe I could pretty much find any industry, any vertical, any type of business, and I can walk you through where I think NFTs are going to disrupt it or where it's going to fit. Now, is the technology there? Is the education there? Are the people at the place there to adopt it? Maybe not. But the beauty of it is how many people that are listening to this right now have wanted to be the first or the early adopters, or you don't like the way certain things are happening in your industry or your space. Well, guess what? In Web3, you have the chance to be the leader, the one that sets the bar, that resets what works, what didn't work. And so for a lot of people, I know that maybe you don't think of yourself as a creator. Maybe you never identified yourself as someone that is looking to be a thought leader or be on the forefront. But if you believe and you're passionate about what you're working on or what your experience is, and you believe in that you are committed and want to make all of this work, then like right now is a great time to jump into this space. And I tell just about everybody, right? I want you to be a collector or an investor of, buy some NFTs. It doesn't matter where you buy them. Like I would even suggest buying one on Solana and buying a couple on Ethereum and I just jumping in and getting a feel for like the community. And then I also think you should sell one because you get that aha moment of selling your first NFT and getting like that newfound liquidity. And like you get to kind of have a lot of that experience. But the other part of this is that if there are communities that you see, like if you're, like let's say let's say you're a lawyer, right? And you're like, you know what, Brian, I don't like the type of law that I do isn't really fit for Web3, but I want to like surround myself with other lawyers. Well, guess what? There are some great communities that have a lot of lawyers in them, right? Where you can, and the way I always like to suggest is like go onto Twitter and, search those that are, in your space and see what other profile photos that exist. So if you see a bunch of profile photos that are a bunch of, let's say, goblins or a bunch of the coalition crew, or maybe a bunch of diamond dogs, or maybe a bunch of meta athletes, or maybe a bunch of crypto chicks, whatever that may be, that's a great community for you to jump into. And it doesn't mean you have to like hold that NFT for forever, but getting to know others that maybe are aligned with you or share your vision. And then I would also say the flip side of this is go into communities that maybe like speak to you, but you don't know anyone in there that is like you. Because I will tell you, like, that's for, for our community here, right? For if you want to jump into your first Discord, definitely check out our Discord. It's just discord.gg, which is how Discord does their URL, and then /ADHD coin. We put that in the show notes. The link is down there. But jump into our Discord. Like, I would love to know, like, the more variety of backgrounds and experiences and knowledge that we have in our community, the more we will thrive, right? And this fits into that we is greater than me component. But I will just say that, like, this is where I know for many people this can be like, hey, I don't know what my role is, or I'm not like a crypto person, or I don't like gambling, or maybe you don't even like crypto, right? Like maybe you're like, man, I just don't like the unknown financial component of that. It doesn't mean that you have to know all of those things or love all of those things to make an impact in this space or to take on a role in this space, right? There are tons of projects that are trying to create merchandise. If you've been in any role of the merchandise, like, you should reach out and you can work with projects. There are a lot of events. I think pretty much almost every project wants to have an in real life event, but we all know not everyone is great at creating in real life events. So if you've launched masterminds before, or if you've done meetups before, or you've brought in sponsors for different projects, like, you have a role in Web3. And then the other part of this is, like, think about, like, what creative people in your life that you knew were creative, but they've never made like a living or money off of their creative talent. Like, those are people that you want to bring into this space, because I think for so many people, they were like, you know what, I love to draw, or I love to take photos, or like my passion was painting, or my passion was cooking. But I never could figure out like a way to make money on that. Well, guess what? Like this is your way, right? And you don't need thousands upon thousands, or hundreds of thousands of people. Ultimately, what you need is just your ability to tell the story and then get a finite people to believe in it and bring them in. It's why, like, I believe for people that are launching collections, you should launch Genesis and Founders collections. Like, we launched a Founders project here with the podcast, right? We launched 22 Founders NFTs that we sold at $5,000 USD. And then we had 365 NFTs that we sold for $365 USD. And we actually sold them on the L2 Rally blockchain. And to me, like those are the foundation NFTs, our Genesis NFTs, that are going to help us launch our upcoming NFT project, the Superpowered project. And the beauty of that is like we've already kind of proven the trust and the value, but we also can bring them along on the journey. And so for all those that are listening right now, like if you're listening to this podcast, and this could be your first episode, or it could be your 243rd episode, which 243, that's a good one, because I always connects it to like 143, right? The pager wearing millennial in me, right? 143 is, I love you. It was the short for your pager. So, 243, it's like we love you, right? Like that's how and as a podcast that is we is greater than me. I know maybe that's a little corny, but, when I think of, episode 243, I think of it as like the shorthand for we love you. And I would just say like, if you're listening to this, like you have experience and knowledge and a perspective that is needed in this space right now. And I know it might feel overwhelming. It might feel like the language or the barrier is maybe too high, or there are too many things that are outside of your normal skill set. The beauty is there are many of us that are willing to walk people through that, to educate, to inspire, to jump on one-on-one Zoom calls and help people kind of embrace what this space has involved. The thing about it is we need you, and we can't let the technology be the barrier for entry. We can't allow the lack of education content to be the barrier, because if we truly want to create a better space, and this is where I look at this whole Web3 thing, right? It's about how do we reimagine a future that learns from what we did in Web2, that leverages the technology that is available for us in Web3, mainly the blockchain, but yet really has that harmony with humanity. I don't look at Web3 as replacing what we do as humans. I believe we will always need to have people solving people problems. I think we always need to focus on what we as humans do really well. One of them being empathetic, right? Having empathy, right? Computers and tech and robots and gear can never have empathy. But imagine if we were able to create a space where we were able to automate and program things like with DAOs and with DeFi. We were able to automate things where we got to spend more time being empathetic for others and less time doing programmatic things that can be replaced or be automated with technology. That's where I look at this space moving towards. And the problem is we don't have you, or many of you, in this space kind of stepping into a role. And it doesn't mean you have to go full-time Web3 or even part-time Web3. I recommend, putting your foot in the water, right? Raising your damn hand, and then ultimately just kind of listening and learning and asking questions. And I think ultimately you're going to find not only is your talent and your experience needed, but you're also going to find others that make you feel less alone and make you feel empowered and make you feel excited about the future. And so that's my challenge for everyone that's listening to this. And if you're like, hey, I'm already in this space, Brian, you're preaching to the choir. Now I have a job for you. Go find one person in your community, one of your Instagram followers, one of your Twitter followers, someone in your world, your life. Find one of them and reach out to them and bring them into this community. If each one of us that are already believers in Web3 onboard one person, and everyone that's listening to this podcast that hasn't decided to kind of raise their damn hand when it comes to Web3, then imagine how much we'll grow and how this entire kind of like synergy kind of will expand. And so I believe the technology will come. The education is a work in progress. We're trying to do that every single day with the podcast. But I think ultimately in the bigger picture of this whole idea of what we're building, I think the beauty of this space is that the more diverse voices, diverse backgrounds, diverse experiences we get, the better we will be, the more whole we will be able to provide in the future. And, reach out to me on Twitter, iSocialFans. If you have an industry or a background or a vertical that you're like, Brian, like, I love that you're saying that, but I work in this, and I don't think NFTs will ever disrupt in this. Throw that out to me on Twitter, and I will reply with a tweet with a use case or an example or a thought. Or maybe you can stump me. I will admit if I don't know it. That's also something I promise is if I don't know something, I will admit when I don't know something. But I'm very excited about what is possible and how all of this space goes and what we can really do, moving forward. And, if you are looking for kind of like those, that opportunity to learn more, to step into that, idea of surrounding yourself with people, definitely in-person events are one of the best ways to do that. I think that's no surprise to anyone. And of course, our sponsor of the podcast is the Crypto Business Conference, and it is in San Diego, California, October 9th to the 11th. And one of the things that I like is that it's definitely designed towards like the active learners. And what is also nice is that they have an all access ticket that I've had access to this all access ticket with their previous events. And what is nice about that is you get recordings of all of the sessions in the all access ticket. And so if you're like, man, I don't like going to events because I can't learn everything, and if I miss a session, I feel like I'm wasting my money. Well, check out that all access ticket that Social Media Examiner is putting that is rolling out for the Crypto Business Conference. It'll give you all those recordings, so you'll remove that FOMO from having to try to be at every session, and it also just gives you that that repository for continual learning. So check them out at socialmediaexaminer.com/NFT365. And that'll jump you over to the page, and you guys can check that out. I hope to see you in San Diego. But with that being said, I not only do we talk about the need to raise your damn hand, but if you really believe in the core essence of what I preach here, in that we are greater than me, and that we all have our superpower, and we all have a story to tell. And I understand that it might not be natural or normal for many of us to tell our story or put ourselves out there. Or maybe it's not even a desire for us to be, someone that is at that stage. I do believe many of us, or if not all of us, have a desire to make an impact, to make the world a better place, to fix some of the things that we know are broken, that we have experienced in Web 2. And there is no better time to do that right now in Web 3 than right now as you're listening to this show. So press the damn button. Jump in, and of course, as always, do your own damn research. So until tomorrow, my friends, make it a great day. Cheers.